Hello, Vanakkam, and welcome to Sudarshan's podcast. I'm Sudarshan, the host. Today I have Thomas Abraham, who is the Director of Strategy and Growth at Pixis, one of the great SaaS companies from Bangalore I really look up to. And to be very precise, they are one of the giant in our category for the company which I work for. I'm very glad to have Thomas here. Hey Thomas, welcome to the pod.
Thanks, Sudarshan, for the kind introduction about me and my company. Really pleased to be here, Sudarshan.
No, I would like to go a little deep, right? Thomas had a very envious career, I would say. He started he is a mechanical engineer, did work on that for a year, then moved to Merkel, which comes under Dentsu, right?
It comes under Dentsu at the moment. The time I was joined, that time it was they just acquired by Merkel, then Merkel got acquired by Dentsu. So technically, it is under Dentsu now.
Yeah, everyone goes under the top five, four, five marketing agencies only. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, Merkel is one among the very well-known marketing agencies from India. He worked there, then moved to Pixis and took care of their. Built the team, took care of their service side of Pixis. Worked with many agencies like WPP, Dentsu, Omnicom, GroupM. GroupM I think comes under WPP.
Yeah, so we work with
Yep.
many agencies under main agencies, and also
Mm.
we
Yep.
worked with like our client portfolio is a mix of enterprise clients, mid market clients, as well as a group of agency network also, in which we become a strategic partners for many of these agencies across the globe.
Yep. So I think I did my job. Go ahead, please introduce yourself. If I missed any, please.
Hi guys, myself Thomas O'Brien, currently working in Pixis, as Sudarshan said, as the head of strategic innovation and marketing for the marketing solutions. Really pleased to be here in today's podcast. Looking to have some great conversation points and learn something new also from Sudarshan. You about your all overall experience with talking to multiple market leaders and GTM leaders within across the globe, right? So looking forward to that. I believe this is kind of my first podcast officially. I always had some sparking conversations with many of the colleagues and people in from my industry, but never had an official recorded podcast. So very excited for that also from my point of view.
One of the things I really feel happy doing this podcast is bringing limelight to the really hardworking people in different companies, right? And one among them is you. Yep, glad doing this. Yep, we'll get into it, right? So one of the things when I shared you the questionnaire, you told me that the faster experimentation is something matters a lot. I think you've been that person for last 7 8 years throughout your career. Whatever the data points you have, you try to make insight and action out of that. So how was that? Like, can you go a little deep on that? Maybe take a couple of instances with a couple of accounts you worked with, and how you flip things there.
Yeah, so going deep into your data is one aspect as a performance marketer or even as a brand marketer. We have to be very much doing that, right? So the reason why I say that we have to be very fast in our experimentation is to get the advantage in the market, right? Because being fun, think from this angle, right? You are a X company, there is a Y company in your same category. Technically, both of you guys are doing the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You are offering a similar kind of offering. There could be a price advantage of pricing, or maybe advantage of time positioning a little bit, but still the core offering remains the same. What the core TG and the ICP remains the same for both the categories, and the platform by which you try to reach out is actually the same, nothing different in both the categories, right? Both the X and Y companies that we are working on, right? Only thing what changes is of execution, right? How faster you execute now, and on what basis you're executing, right? So that's where the experimentation speeds matters a lot. The faster you can do that, the better the outcome will be, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be very irrational in your decision making. You have to first in any of this particular process, right? You have to build your hypothesis basis your historical context, benchmarking and understanding about anything that you're trying to do. Build a hypothesis, validate that hypothesis with talking to the same people in the industries, or the people who have worked on the same thing, or maybe when you're juniors because they have been hands on with your things, and that becomes your benchmark. That hypothesis become your benchmark for your experimentation, and then go for execution, right? Faster execution, and come to a conclusion, right? Okay, like whether it is making sense. For example, just to take anything, right? We are into B2B space, right? When it comes to B2B acquisition, it's a very expensive matter, right? It's not those that easy. So there are multiple channels to do it. One is paid channels, another one is partnerships, strategic partnership with multiple solution providers. The third thing could be outreaching and cold reaching, right? Now, each has its pros and cons. Everyone knows that some every channel gets has its own merits, demerits, cost associated to it. If some, and these becomes our GTM channels down the line, right? And you again fractionate your GTM channel within these category also further, right? To make it more efficient. Just take an example of paid channel, right? Like from a paid channel point, acquisition is very expensive. It's not that very easy, right? From a core B2B 2K 3K kind of a product monthly, it might be a little expensive to acquire those particular client. Now, most of the time, if you give a particular normal performance marketer a particular budget, let's suppose your CMO has given, or maybe your promoters has given you a X budget. Let's take 5K, 10K they have given, and they say
Okay.
that go for it. Let's activate this paid channel.
Right.
Let's activate a acquisition funnel for a particular keywords in the market, which is affiliated to your category, right? Now the first thing comes into as a marketer will be like, okay, I will run this particular thing. If you give it to a normal performance marketer, I will run this particular thing for 30 days, right? I will divide my budget and allocate my day-to-day budget.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Now, once you start doing that, you will start seeing that my CPMs are so expensive, my CPs are so expensive. Really doesn't make sense what I am doing. I'm just burning my impression. I'm just burning my click. What is my average click to get a conversion? And that knowledge I am not getting itself, right? So taking that particular call, like that is the hypothesis that you have to build on your account. Is that what is that particular historical learning that you have seen? Is that for my set of category, my CPC should range between this much, this, then I get some 10 percentage qualified kind of a lead, which for qualified sales that I get from the entire thing. So you have this math in your mind, basis which you have to take faster calls, right? Or else the X and the Y company doing the same thing, right? Only difference is the person who have identified that hypothesis will execute the things faster. He might not run it for 30 days, or she might not run it for 30 days. They might run it only for 10 days, and they will come to
yeah,
understanding, okay, this worked. I acquired 10 leads
yeah,
out of it, and
yeah.
maybe 2 converted out of it. So my ROI is kind of fine at the moment. But if they have run it for the entire 30 days, he might have got maybe a 5 to 6 thing, and end of the day they come to a conclusion, and they might even come to a conclusion like, look, this might not be very efficient one because my run rate is very pathetic. It's one less than one in a, or maybe one in a
Got
month,
it.
one in a week, right? But ideally that is not the situation. So that's what I come to understand, like doing experimentation faster, learn faster, so that you have a better uh, conclusive ability to take the things forward, right? That is one such example of why it need to be faster, because otherwise everyone is same.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, SaaS at the end of the day, it's a utility product. Yeah, and one of the things I could, I mean, understand from your responses, instead of taking that as a bigger bet, try to reduce the time, reduce the budget. If I'm given like $1,000, take $200 to experiment, or maybe just divide the $200 into 10 multiples of 20, do some experiment and learn from that, then execute things faster. So instead of doing it all in a bigger chunk, take a small chunk, experiment in a faster time is something the takeaway from what you said, right?
Yeah, It's multiple, it's multiple way to look into, right? It's
Yeah.
every way, everywhere it is different, right? So budgets, a CAC, impression share cost, everything is different from channel to channel, targeting TG to TG, IG to IG, right? So it differs, but yeah, faster you do, better the
Faster
positioning,
you learn.
better the positioning, and the better the growth opportunity for whatever you are promoting.
But like you, when we started this, you told, I mean, we were discussing about different channels, like organic, paid, outbound, events, a lot of them there. So in that case of organic, right? So it definitely takes 3 months to see the results. Now the, I mean, execution to result got really less in the recent times, but it used to take a lot of time to get index in the orga, the SERP and things around. So in that case, how do you, I mean, how do you execute things fast and I mean experiment things faster?
See, within the organic part, understand this manner, right? The way things were maybe a 2 month back is not the current scenario in the digital space
True,
for the organic, right? It
true,
is
true.
the visibility, the LLM visibilities, and the things are evolving faster, right? Earlier, the reason why it was a 3 month time frame was like there was a lot of research which was involved into it, right? Like what is the trend in the market, what people are searching, what is the new queries that is coming in, right? It was a manual effort that was been done earlier, right? People utilizing Google Trends or maybe SEMrush and other XYZ research intent platform to understand what is the thing that people are looking in your category or the your service or what you're promoting, and then they build a case study, a use case around it, and publish it, and then get the visibility and all, right? In the recent time it is changing, right? The research time can be s- much smaller or shorter if you have the right process and tools in place, right? When I say right process and tools in place, or maybe understand this way, like if you're not so technical, you if you have a proper workflows in place, right, that will also helps in reducing your research time. Coming to a content funnel, what need to be built, when I'm saying content funnel, it is more of a writing write-ups and other things, or maybe visual funnel itself, right? The way you want to build it up and going to the market, right? The most lowest part was building blogs and posting it and getting the visibility around it. Earlier research time may be taking maybe 3 weeks, now it can be reduced to 2 days. Content development with the same quality which used to take 2 weeks or maybe 1 week, now it can be done in 1 hour or 2 hour, and the posting
Very
can
true.
be done faster, right? So
Yeah.
it's more about how we use the available technologies in the market in a more efficient workflow manner to get the thing better, right? Also opening up new innovative way of getting the word of mouth, right? One is post visibility, another thing, one stuff it could be a video content itself, right? Like
Yeah.
most B2B brand doesn't have a lot of video presence, right?
Yeah.
But do you think is it a bad idea to have? No, I won't think it's a bad idea to. The more you can do it, right, the better the visibility you get on the core TGs that you want to do, right? For an example, the classic example which I feel in the market, in the Indian market, I have seen for the B2B space is for the Razorpay. Razorpay started investing, and along with whatever posting and the acquisition funnels and things and events, sponsorship, and everything what they were doing, they also started promoting the founder stories via
Yeah.
their communications, right?
Yeah.
And they are reaching out to the right people or the promoters with those in through a video media, right? So the investments, maybe the things which was classic cult still need to be there, but new vibing things also need to be come into the come into the GTM funnel to grow things faster in the organic part.
Got it. Got it. Yep. So, like one of the things we discussed a little initially is the faster experimentation, right? So you have a team working, I mean, reporting to you. So how do you, I mean, evaluate them when you hire them? How do you evaluate? Are they fast with their experimentation, Are they creative with their creating their new hypothesis? What are the things happen?
So my hiring process is, I would say, the most unorthodox way that I do the hiring. The most of like hiring I have done is,
Now I want the very unorthodox answer. Yep. No, yeah.
so
Please.
so
Expectation bar is so high now.
yeah. So the way I do it, right, it's more than like understanding. Okay, I don't ask the same questions like what is CPM, CPC, all those things I don't ask. And because they if a person has had even done a 1 year good job in one company, even done a basic execution, understand reporting, they should understand these things, right? I don't ask these questions upfront. Rather, I will evaluate it basis on the conversations that we do, right? My interviews are more of a conversation based rather than a question and answer. I will be putting up scenarios, tough situations, things, or the do's or the things which I think is very hard to execute in a platform. Okay. So let's suppose if I say that, hey, I want to target this, right? And the platform limitation is this, but I want to do this only, right? What is the most optimal way to do it? There's a
Yeah.
platform limitation, and we know that. But still, I want to do this. This is my goal, right? What is the way we can do it, right? So when you give them the situations which are not their day-to-day kind of situations, is when you understand how deep they understand the platform, do's and
Hmm.
don'ts of the platform, fundamental principles, and how they tweak these principles in a manner to get what you want, right?
Right.
So my interviews are more of a conversation interviews, even with the higher folks or the low or the very initial folks, right? That's where
Yeah.
I get to understand how flexible they are with their thought process to get the things done from a strategy point, right? If they are very clear on that particular part, then it will come to, okay, how will you do it in the platform, right? First is more on a strategic part. Okay, this is the thing, this is a limitation, what you can hypothetically do to build a strategy around what you want. Then how will you execute in a platform, in what setup, why,
Right.
with the reasoning. Then you go into the basics. So if you understand these things, right, if a person is able to do these two things in a great 85 percentage type of accuracy, you know that he or she know the fundamentals correctly.
Yeah.
He will be able
Yeah.
to do the regular orthodox job, but also they will be able to go beyond what they are currently doing their current work. Got it. So
Got
that is
it.
the
Got it.
edge, that is how it goes. And
You do
because of
that live or async?
do that live.
Because okay, to give you an example, recently we were hiring for I mean, we're still looking for a SDR, and I got an really great assignment done, and we invited the person to office, and I was talking to him. Man, that was the worst 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, I told him, dude, I have a hot stop, and I mean, gave him a quick feedback and left. I left that chat. Right. I know people started faking a lot of assignments. I even don't. I know doing things in async how it will work.
See, the thing is, when you're doing it on a real time basis, right, you will see the raw
Hmm.
thoughts. That's the reason I like to do the interviews in this particular manner. And sometimes, when, like, in some of the roles which I hire, the same person will have interview with me maybe 2 times or 3 times. Got it? And it's very frustrating for the candidate, I will be very frank. They will be doing complaints of that and all, but certain candidates do enjoy that also. Like certain people who have that particular caliber, they do enjoy this particular process because they are also doing something out of the box on a regular
Okay.
basis.
Sorry to cut you. Yeah. So this one you told, which talks about how strong they are with their fundamentals. Second thing which I want to understand is how far. I mean, how fast they are. Right. That is something. How are you evaluating? You can sense that, but is there a deterministic way to get that out of people?
How fast they are is also is like, once you build the fundamentals, right, how to get it executed is also a part of the same thing, right? Understand, like, they bind it, they twisted turned the fundamentals and created a hypothesis. Now the second question is like, okay, we build this hypothesis, great, theoretically this will work. How we will get it executed, right? What is the if and buts comes in that, right? That's where you will get to know that, okay, they understand the platforms do's and don'ts all to a greater manner, and that will calls out the how fast they can convert the idea into executions also.
Mm.
So that's
Got it.
that's again a part of the same process. When you are evaluating, you will market basis that, right? Okay, person could be a great in execution, but a person might be a great in building the hypothesis and all, but when it comes to turning that into actual execution with the limitations, right, is when you understand, okay, this person, I think this will be a perfect fit at this level. What we are looking, this person will be perfect fit at this level because he can turn ideas into actual part,
Got it.
with like ideas into plans, right? And there could be a person who's like, understand it this way, right? You might not find everything in one person. That is the
Yeah.
truth of hiring, and most of the hiring, you we eventually we will see that you will only see maybe a 1 or 2 percentage people who can do everything that you're looking. But there, if their willingness to learn the new things which they are missing, that is also a good sign. And you also need certain people who is good in certain aspect much
Yeah.
better than others to get the done job.
Got it. Got it. Okay, you are working with marketers in your team. Pixis is selling to marketers. I mean, how is the AI adoption with marketers? Because whoever we work with, right? Sometimes it's really hard. I mean, to teach them, hey, this is a dude. They are very much with the legacy tools, and I mean, of course, not to blame. It's our job to make them adopt to things. Yep. How's the adoption in general?
Interesting question.
I got that. I got that.
Interesting question. See, the thing is, it's a very highly fluctuating thing. I would say that, like, what I've seen in India market is that it's in the Indian market, there's a little bit of friction when it comes to trying to adopt something new, right? But when it comes to the outside market, there's a willingness for them to open up and experiment and all. But one thing is very clear from over the years is that you can't bring in something very new to the system, right? You have to, whatever systems and things we are building, it should feel natural in a way, right? To get the things better for them, right? So that is something from a product standpoint also we are trying to evolve slowly and gradually. We are becoming a part of their day-to-day workflows, right, in a smoother manner, rather than making them to do that, making them to do the extra steps, right? So the question that I ask myself is that with this, what we are trying to do is that, are we reducing some efforts for them, right? If we are reducing some efforts, that's we go ahead with, right? So for the adoption part, it's a little tricky, but we are trying to we at the moment we are cracking a path. Is that what is the use case which takes most of their time, right? Why it takes in most of the time? Do we have a way to get it done faster, right? And we will show that to that thing fast to them, right? So that there's a willingness to adopt faster, and then eventually it will progress to other adoptions, right? Let's
Got
take an
it.
example, search term analysis, right? Something which most of the paid marketeers and so used to do. I believe still they do it. If anyone still, if they are using, if they not always broad kind of targeting, they like, if they just don't just go, if they don't just believe on, if they want to control things beyond Google, what Google promise, they always will like to have control. They will always try to do some search term analysis,
Okay.
negations, additions, and things. These are fundamentals, right?
Got it.
Now, this takes like time, right? Because there's a qualitative and quantitative both aspect involved into it
Yeah.
when a person doing it properly, right? One is based on data, another one is based on intent, right? So that takes time. If you have a lot of line item, it takes a good time, and if you have a lot of clicks in a B2B space, in a B2C space, you will find that you will find lot of clicks in many term and dispersed across, right? It takes a great time. But with a tool, can that be automated? True. Can
Yeah.
that
To an extent.
be faster? True.
True.
uh, will that have an intent of getting adopted? Probably more. right? So that's what we give them first. Hey, look into that. Daily, on a monthly, you used to do this activity 7 times. You used to spend 8 hours in this in a month, which is equal to 1 day. Now you can do that maybe 10 times. In total, you will only need to spend 15. So that's what
Well,
thing is. We show them the value proposition, make them do something, like give them something which is adding value to them, right? So that's
well.
become very clear that until unless you are adding value to their workflows and things, adoption won't happen.
Make things a lot easier, make things, I mean, become effortless, then adoption will happen. That is
Will
something,
flow.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
See, the thing is,
got it.
marketers are not. It's not that they don't want to do it, right? It's only that they always try to understand why a market is using a third party platform like Adobe or maybe Appsflyer or anything, because to validate the data. If that was, if this marketing platform itself was validating the data correctly, they would have gone with it. Right? Understand? So there should be a purpose to it, right? The purpose for the third party platform of data validation is basically revenue point and actual data. That's the reason they're using it, otherwise they wouldn't be using it. Same thing will be applied to AI. Will it saving some time for them in actual time point, right? Rather than the fancier stuff, like I have an AI in my workflow, but in actually, if they want to use it, they should see the value, correct value, which they can make out, and this need to come from the bottom layer in the entire pyramid of our marketing.
So one of the things you told is be very selective in the communication, be diplomatic wherever it is needed, and be black and white wherever it is needed. I think I saw the diplomatic side of Thomas answering about marketers adopting AI. Yep, let's talk about the selective communication, Thomas. So one of the things, like you said, I mean, the way your career moved from associate to a director in 7 8 years is something not very usual. In that case, yep, one of the things you said is selective communication is something. I mean, let's go a little deep on that, right? How do you manage up and down? How it happens?
It happens with the experience association. There is no as such.
There is no way to put it, right?
There is no way to put it, right? So understand this way, right? I think this is basically the fundamental of any communication, right? Any communication that you do.
Maybe give me an instance, Abraham Thomas. Sorry, give me an
I will
instance.
give a very broader instance, and then I will go into our career based thing, right? So I think the fundamental communication is, let's go into the basics, like college time. I don't know whether we had a public speaking skill kind of things or not in our colleges. Like, no, not most of the agents, most of the universities doesn't have that. But let's good club or an agency within a or good university or a club in a university. Let's go into that, right? I think
Right.
the fundamental thing which most of the public speaking people will say, that understand who is in front of you, right? Like who is coming and sitting in front of you, and based on that, articulate your thoughts and deliver it, and and uh, and go with it, right? And maybe if you start your public speaking career, you will do that maybe one or two, then you will understand, okay, first time no one understood what I was trying to say. Maybe second, third
Got
time
it.
I understood okay, the people understood what I want to say, but they didn't maybe took a greater takeaway from it. Maybe in the fourth, fifth time they understood it. Now, what really changed here from the first to the fifth time is that you adopted and you started doing your research and your preparation according to what the people is coming, right? Who the people are coming. Maybe in the first time you had a set thought process, and you are like, okay, want to convey this, and I want to convey this in this manner itself. Maybe by the fifth time you said you changed your thought, is that your thought might have changed. Okay, I want to convey this, but what is the most efficient way to convey that to the people who is coming, right? The people who is coming is more of a student and a little bit of professors. Maybe the people who are coming is a parent, a parent who are not professionals, they are just parents. The people who I am talking to is more of a wage workers. Understand that way, right? So your communication, the way you communicate with the professionals, white collar kind of people, can't be the communication with daily wage workers, right? So that's the fundamental of any communication change, right? That's how you become selective in your communication. And if you see in the professional also, it is the same.
Yeah.
Now, within the professional crowd, you again start categorizing who are executor, who are operator, who are decision makers, what really matters to them and why it matters to them, right? And based on that, you communicate it, right? Then only you will find the effectiveness in what you want to deliver as a marketer and also as a
Interesting.
customer success people.
Right.
So that is the fundamental, nothing new in it. Everyone and anyone who is into the space of customer service, knowingly
Or sales
unknowingly,
also.
knowingly unknowingly doing this only.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Okay, one thing, because since you're from Pixis, I definitely want to touch this. And with that, we'll wind this episode. So, how performance marketing is changing. Let's not keep this answer generic, right? Let's maybe touch three use cases. How performance marketers used to do things before, and how are they doing that with Pixis or tools like Hockey now, right? We'll quickly touch three use cases. I think that will do the job.
See, I won't just call it out for Pixis or Hawk AI or anything else. Like I will say AI is a solution how it is evolving in Pix performance marketing. Because many of the marketers can't afford is not using Pixis, maybe not
Got
even
it.
using Hawk AI. They are using some or
Yeah.
other AI open AI
Yeah.
platform, but they are using some or other things, right?
Yeah.
So the people who are not using, I think there should be motivation for them to use it also. The three wider spaces which I feel like marketers are using AI, one is on the data space. Like let's take an example, performance marketing, more it's not just an execution based job role, it is more of a strategy data driven kind of a role, right? Now coming to that three aspects, strategy, data driven and execution, most of the performance marketers who we see in the market, they might be great in the execution and a little better in the strategy.
Yeah.
As they get into experience, they get better in strategy, but data, they are still stuck with some or other viewpoint, right? Some
Right.
people who always look into CPC, CPM and CTR, that could be their way of
Yeah.
evaluating how things are going better for them, right? Because they are not core data kind of people, they evolve it because of a need of the job, they are evolving and learning that, right? But with AI coming into the system, right, the data space, the data part of their job can be much faster. They can drive better insights, faster hypothesis to build any strategies and build data points to build any strategy, and then the hypothesis and everything, right? So that becomes faster for them, right? So a marketer should start using the platform, if not many everything else, at least with the data, because that is their wider scope of job, right? And that will help them a lot in terms of saving the time itself. In the current situation, after month start and the month end, right? Month start, most of the marketers' time spent on getting the things executed, right? Building the reports, and month end goes into maybe pausing and redoing the campaigns again. But rest of the time frame in their calendar or the time mostly goes into answering the data itself. Why my number gone up and down? That's the question most of the leaders ask them. Why my CPL is so bad? What is the reason? And
Right.
they always go and dwell into it, right? And they try to layer by layer find the things and all. But with this AI, they will save a lot of time in doing that particular job, and they will get
Right.
answers faster. So that is one of the data part, right? Second is on the creative side of things, right? When I say creative side of thing, earlier, understand it this way, right? There are two type of marketing fundamentally, right? Push and pull, right? And you know that push also consumes a bigger chunk of any marketing activities, because that's where they try to create a demand, and pull actually converts also into that particular demand. Now if you see fundamentally how most of this push platform is evolving, it is evolving more on the creative side. They say like don't do too much on the XYZ thing, not do much on the audience part and all, you give autonomous and all, you work on the creative part, right? So most of the workflows in the performance marketers in well established organizations and all, creative comes from maybe a brand team,
Yeah.
creative team. The performance market is not making the creative anymore.
Yeah.
Like they just
Yeah.
come and they will execute it. The performance market only say that, okay, out of A, B, C that you are given, C worked better for me, so make C for me, based on just one data, what was the spend conversion and all. But l- getting it layered, right? Like why the C worked better to A and B is a more important aspect of data to build better hypotheses and implement, get better results, right? I think that space is something AI can do a lot, because AI can read things, read
But
things.
no general purpose tool at this point doing creative tagging, right? I mean, ChatGPT, Claude can't. I mean,
Understand,
they can do,
they
but
can do.
but how can you just bulk upload there, correlate with the performance numbers? That's a
It
bit of
can
a
be.
setup. Yeah, it can be done.
It's a workflow. It's an
Yeah,
actual
yeah, yeah. Once you
workflow,
set the
right?
workflow, it is doable. Yeah,
It is doable. So it's a workflow thing. It's not like AI can't do it. AI can do it. Only thing is the workflow thing, right? And you also need to give more context to any of the AI. And that's where I think specialized tool like okay, AI, Pixis AI, Prism, all these things comes into picture, because we make that workflows built for them already,
yeah.
right? In some or other easier manner. So that's one part of the thing, which is a very important aspect. And I think that will also evolve, right? So evolve into the thing, into the second part.
Yep, I think once you understand the data underlying in a creative, and I think execution got a lot easier. 2 weeks back, before this, I mean, this ChatGPT Image Gen 2
Hmm.
and Nano Banana 2, even from there, I started seeing the creative production got a lot easier. Then this one, acing,
Yeah.
doing great job.
So yeah,
Static,
but
static, I would say, but companies are moving to video creatives recently.
true. Same thing, right? It's a layer by layer kind of understanding and all, right? So it is doable. I think it is compared to the data, it is still data is much easier. Like just reading the data and finding, understanding meaningful insights or getting meaningful insights much easier compared to the creative part. Creative need more of a like you need to be a little bit more hands on these platforms. When I say all these agentic platforms to get a better output to it, or use some
Yeah,
tool like ours to get better output
yeah,
on that thing, right? The third space is on the hypothesis building strategy part of the things with your existing data, right? That is also where these things, these platforms need can do a wonderful job,
yeah,
right? Because human mind comes with a limitation if they are not forced to do it, right? Until unless I sit on someone market, CMO sits on a marketer's head and say that, hey, I need a expansion plan now, they won't
yeah,
do it, like until unless they are self-motivated to do that, right? But even if they want to do it, they become a, because they are not, because performance market is more on data side of things, they are not
yeah,
high on the creative part of the things, right? They also come to a mental blockage, right? Because that is also part of their job, because they are not, the brain is not trained in that manner or wired in that manner. Our their trained mind is more wired in the current setup, what can be gone wrong, right? What the data is telling them, right? And rather than what the psychological aspect of positioning and other things, right? That's where the creative parts comes into picture. And that's where also the new strategy and hypothesis building will also happen along with the data. So I think that part can also something LLM can solve, given the fact that you give a right context and get a thing. Very good example of doing such thing is that, let's suppose you have a product. Let's take you are a app company which is providing some XYZ service through your app. Now most of the platform that is promoting app doesn't allow, like Google Meta, they don't like you, they don't ideally allow you to give, do something, right? It's like it's a kind of an automated campaign, right? There is no much of a control in your hand. But there is a way marketers have cracked it, that is through communication, right? They communicate in a manner, and that way they try to get to a particular persona through communication and drive the development, right? So but after the direct correlation scenarios and themes, they come to a mental block. What else I can do? What is other communication angle I can do? That's where I think the LLM can come, and they can go in all the tangent and bring in more use cases to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, understand, I was seeing a Gemini ad in Google Gemini ad in TV. They attract Gen Z. They started ads related to, okay, one girl was asking about a college project. Can I make it with three people? And now the thing is, targeting the messaging was very particular about Gen Zs,
Yeah.
right? And maybe a one normal performance marketer might not be able to crack it, or maybe a brand marketer had been, right? So that's where I think
Right.
a tool like LLM can also become more help in finding more avenues of doing the things.
Interesting. I think, yeah, only thing I'm regretting now is like we could have spoken more about performance marketing. But yeah, due to time limitation, I have to wind this up. But yep, to sum up the last answer, which is like be very data driven and understand the data under every creative and make your next ones. Improve your ability to make hypothesis. Use AI to accelerate that is the takeaway how performance marketing is changing, gonna change, and it is up to the marketers ability to adapt things faster. Yep. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for making the time.
Same here, Suresh. It was a great talking to you. See you. Bye.
Yeah, 1 second.